Good to have you back. What we're going to look at today is a classic Beatles tune called A Hard Day's Night. I'm not going to talk so much about, this is where to put your fingers to play it exactly the same way George Harrison played it, because he probably never played it the same way twice anyway. Maybe he did. I don't know. But we're going to jump into some guitarisms and some real rhythm techniques that are important for you to understand. Okay, so first chord, the iconic opening chord of Hard Day's Night. This is a guitaristic version of that. It's a G7 with a sus4. In the original, they did it in the studio. George Martin played a couple of notes. John played a couple of notes. George played some notes. They all sort of jumped in and made this gigantic chord, which I think probably had closer to 12 voices. So we've only got 6 here, right? But there's most of the notes. Okay, and let's start with just the opening G chord. This chord is with the 2/5, right? You've got a fifth here, and you've got a fifth on string 4, and you've only got that one lonely third in this chord, which makes it sort of a very powerful sort of chord. It's almost like a power chord. It is a power chord if you just take the top 4 strings, right? It's a big, fat sounding chord. Then here's the third in that chord. And then to the C add 9, all we do is change like that. Really quick change, right? Like that kind of deal, right? So it's super big. You don't have to worry about chopping out melody notes or anything, right? We're not really going to talk about melody today. And here, this is really cool, and this is the F6, right? And I've also got a 9 in it on top, but it seems to make sense, right? So now you've got I don't know if you want to take it down, the F6. I don't think they were, that doesn't seem to make sense to me from a guitaristic perspective, because this is just too simple. Right, I think it's like that. I mean, you could play the F6 and drop the bass note down there and play it like that, but I don't think that's necessary, because the bass player is going to play that note down there, right? So we're not working on solo guitar arrangements here. So let's take that from the top. Melody. Okay, so let's just take you get the F6 idea. Again, we're talking about rhythm guitar, playing a rhythm guitar part that's going to suit this tune. That's going to work with this tune, right? It should even go so far as if you just played the chords for this, people are going to say, "Hey, I know that song," right? Yeah, that's what you want. Okay, a couple of interesting things here. We went through the G, C add 9, the F6 with that short little quick change, of just the 2 fingers moving. These notes here are pedaling on the top. They never change. Right? Yeah, okay, that's a clever little part. So you got a pedal on the top and the movement in thirds on the bottom, right? and then we have the C. Just I would advise against doing this kind of that kind of parallel movement. This works a lot better and it's more musical. Just the basic open position chords. Now G and then to C7. So on this last measure here of this section, we have a G to a C7 to a G. So the question is, why not just a C, right? Because in the melody it's a B flat and in the melody, and the C7 grabs that B flat. If we play that B flat note against the G chord, listen to what the sound is like. Right, it's a flat 3. It's a blue third, and it's a very cool thing. Even though it's just that one little note and that one new chord, it's a big deal. Okay, so that finishes up the first section. Then the second section, what's this B minor about? And the B minor is about the 3 chord in the key of G. And then the E minor chord is the 6 chord in the key of G. It's very diatonic, meaning according to the key or the scale. So E minor is a relative minor chord. So B minor and back to B minor, and 1 chord. Good. And so what we've got there is the 3 chord going to the relative minor, the 6, the 3 chord again, and then returning to the 1 chord. Now, the reason to learn this kind of nomenclature is, what key you're in, what chords you're using, how the chords are functioning, which is different than how the chords are spelled. The chord function here is a 3 chord, a 6 chord, a 3 chord, and a 1 chord. And then again, relative minor of the 6 chord, the 2 chord, and the 5 chord. That chord progression, the 1, 6, 2, 5. But just about every 50s pop song ever written had that 1, 6, 2, 5 kind of progression, right? And this is one of the things that made the group and their songwriting so original and iconic, for that matter, and that reason is that they referenced so much of the stuff that was in the swing era in terms of their chord progressions. They, as a matter of fact, played Louis Armstrong tunes in Berlin, right, when they were performing as a quartet. Okay, so from the top again, the guitarism, right, would be that, and it has a bit of an anticipation here too, like a bit of a push, anticipating that next measure, like that. We've got that on the upbeat, and then the F6. We were just moving these. Okay, good. You get the idea, right? And then just the C. Right, and then the 3. Back to the 3. 1, 6, 2. you get the idea. It's a very different trip when you're. I don't know how many of you out there have done any recording, and I don't care if it's super simple recording or more complex recording or just at home or in a studio or whatever the case is. But if you have, you probably have learned that parts are what it's all about. And when I say a part, that means that you can play a rhythm part without the melody. And that rhythm part will be intrinsically related to the tune you're playing, to the point where it only belongs in that tune. So you're not playing some kind of generic strum rhythm stuff. What you're doing is you've got the the exact right shots. You know exactly how the melody is going. You internalize the melody by singing it in your head, as I mentioned in the last video, and you're really clear as to the tempo, as to the chord voicings you're going to use. Very different than jazz, right? Like, pop is like you nail down a part and it is perfect. It's like classical music, really. You're probably going to laugh at that one, but it is. You nail down a perfect part that only belongs in that one tune, in that one place, and supports the melody perfectly, right? It's an art form. And so I'm just sort of digging into these ideas of rhythm playing, which I've done a heck of a lot of, and in pop and rock and situations. Also, always recognize you've got a 1 chord, a 4 chord, back to a 1 chord. Then we have to call this a flat 7 major, right? So it comes out of the Mixolydian, parallel Mixolydian mode, for instance. And then 1, and then 4, and then 1, and then the flat 7. Flat 7's ubiquitous in this style of, actually all the way through but it was a big deal in the 60s and 70s. This flat 7 major chord, that's the function of the chord, and another topic. Another time, and 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 4 7 with that B flat, and back to the 1, and then we stay in the key of G. We just move for the next section, which is common. You want to move somewhere in a section, harmonically and melodically. And we have a B minor chord with the 3 chord, the 6 chord, the 3 chord, the 1 chord, and going to that common 1 6 2 5 progression. You get the idea. Where am I? And so on, right? 1 6 2 5, and when you can memorize things in this way, when you can analyze things in this way, then you can memorize them very easily. So I encourage you to get whatever tune you're working on off any kind of page that you've got it written on, even if you've just got the chord progression there. Get it off the page, memorize it, and start building a part that's individual to the tune. It doesn't matter if it's a Beatles tune or if it's a tune you wrote or if it's a Stone Temple Pilots tune, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all the same stuff, and so that's what I'm trying to impart in this little series, rhythm series. I intend to do like 20 or 30 of these, not all Beatles tunes, but stuff with rhythm. And how to play in a rhythm style. Okay, cool. Like a fully conceptualized rhythm style. Okay, good. Thanks for stopping by. I hope that was a help to you in some ways, and we'll see you again real soon.